I want to thank everybody for coming today. This is a Justice and Memory Project. The mayor of Athens assembled this team to work on avenues of atonement that's outlined in the Leonardtown resolution. And we have been meeting for over 2.5 years on these avenues of atonement. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a moment of silence. Thank you. We don't have a quorum to vote for on the minutes, so we'll just go ahead and turn the meeting over to Stephanie with her skillful communications.
Thank you, Ms. Hattie. So I got your edits and I appreciate them as a much more well-rounded document, and I'm still gonna work on it, but I wanted to talk about some other components as I fill in the details, and because we provide a lot of attachments in these calls for art that show artists aerial photographs and map and gives them more detailed information. So in order for me to sort of drill down to what that correct dimensions are, I want to talk with y'all about signage, and we want to look at I only have some maps, but I want to kind of have us look a little bit and talk about how we want people to experience the site. So if you think about, so here's just this image just kind of showing a little bit enlarged. This is sort of the area. It's about 100 feet and it's about 7 or 8 feet wide. It's that space between the sidewalk and the roadway. And so when you imagine people arriving at this, let's say they are going specifically to visit it, to see the art and to see the sign, do you imagine that they are coming down Baxter Street? And how does it imagine in your mind?
Imagine in my mind how people will see it. I think that it will be both coming down back Milltown Lane from Baxter Street.
Yes, thank you.
And I think they will be sometimes parking and getting out and walk into that. But majority of the people will be coming that way. And since there is nowhere to park, I think they're going to be parking and walking too.
So across, they'll park and walk across to Baxter Street, come down,
or they'll park off of Leonardtown Lane and walk up to.
Okay. And so they will see the sign. And then how far apart do you imagine the sign is from the art object? I'm kind of trying to figure out the real estate, right? We have to set aside a space that tell artists your art has to fit inside this designated space. That means that the rest of the space available is what we can put the sign in. So I'm just trying to kind of get to those specifics with y'all so that we kind of arrive at something I can communicate both to the signage and to the artists, as well as make sure that we vet that with our colleagues in the department and the rest of ACC around, the traffic visibility and all that kind of, safety things that we have to think about. So I want to get down with y'all and be what is is it the art is here and the sign's right next to it, or is there some space?
I think it's going to be, the art is going to be there and the signage is going to be, in that same space. So when people look at the signage, they can read that, and they also can feel, look at and understand the art.
And do you see the art as being closer to the intersection of Leonardtown Lane and Cloverhurst, or closer to Baxter Street?
Will it be this one?
We had talked about it being in that space closer to Cloverhurst, but is there an option to put it closer to Baxter?
The art? Yeah, that's what I'm kind of asking, because if we're gonna put the art here and the sign up here, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is which one do you want? Because it could be, I don't know, it can't get that close to, we have a designated area, I know it has to be within that, but I'm more just trying to be specific about what kind of sign, we can talk about that, and also how you imagine that in proximity to the art.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I see the Jennifer Rice, I'm thinking she can't get in.
Can they park up there where the students park, trying by the sign, down by Cloverhurst? Is that public?
You can't get in.
Up in there?
Probably not. I think it's
Somebody's
most
gonna-
of that parking that's down in the kind of where Cloverhurst and Linnentown meet is largely student parking or parking for the residents of those residence halls. I don't think so.
They can park down there when we do tours,
But
when,
not, okay.
when the.
Like
when-
advance
when-
permission.
Yeah, advance permission, and sometimes people park at their leisure, I mean, we can't tell them that. But for its tourism, they're gonna be coming down Leonardtown Lane, and then they're gonna be, driving by, and then they would decide if they wanna park on the street, because there is street parking there.
Oh, okay.
But it's not always available, but the parking on the street is free.
Okay.
On Leonardtown Lane and on Cloverhurst.
Linnentown Lane and Cloverhurst. Okay.
There's available street parking
On
on both
the,
sides.
yeah.
But I thought we were gonna keep it down closer to Cloverhurst, since that's where we had talked about the right of way. Or both, since the
Okay.
right of way,
Yep.
we had talked about the right of way would be in that area.
I just wanted to know if you had a preference, like, given that there's like a crosswalk here a little bit, like, is the sign going here and the art going up here? Or is the art here and the signs up here? Just if you had a preference, or y'all thought there was one advantage over another.
I think that, well, since it's gonna be Leonardtown Lane, and people, when they see the art, they can see the signage together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will be better.
Okay.
So,
Because if you had this up here and this down here, then somebody might just piecing that.
Well, it'll all be in that yellow designated 100 yards. It's just a matter
Close
of
to
like,
Cloverhurst. Well, I think both of them need to be close in proximity together.
the only thing with it being close to Cloverhurst is you have that big hole in the middle. There's a hole right here in the middle.
Like pole.
Yeah.
see it right here.
I'm sorry.
See it right there, right with the yellow. Is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to?
Yeah. Yep. Right there. This is a bigger picture of it. There's a hole right there in the middle.
Okay, I think if there's a pole, that you still have this distance to that distance. I think.
Okay, so
it'll
like
work.
pole to
Yeah, I
light
think it'll work.
to street sign, that end?
Yeah.
Or Stephanie, were you talking about the other gap that's right here?
Yeah, either one.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted to, if there was a preference, like just how to communicate that in the call and like how to also get the specifics down with our colleagues so that we know exactly what we put in what. It helps. I feel like, traffic will want to know those specifics.
I think we need to put it,
They're
closer.
discussing
It's the
where,
same one.
yeah, well, it's actually a whole street,
Oh, the whole.
just a
street.
closer version of the street.
But I think it should be, together, so when people look at what we talked about, the art and the signage, they would be pretty well near each other.
Okay. But you're talking about having both near each other, closer towards the street sign.
Closer toward, Cloverhurst.
Cloverhurst with where Linnentown Lane Street sign is. Okay.
Pretty small area.
It was talking
Yeah.
about.
It's a pretty small
Small
area.
area, but we were
Yeah.
talking about, I was telling them that there is parking, free parking on the street, but it's
Mhm.
not hardly available, but there is parking. But we would want people, when they're coming down Leonardtown Lane, if they see one, they can see both pretty well in close proximity.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but when you're coming down Baxter, coming down the hill, would you rather have the sign first and then the art piece?
You mean coming down Finley?
Oh, yeah, coming down.
Baxter.
Yeah, from Baxter.
South of Finley.
And it's gonna be right, I think you need to have the art piece and then the signage.
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
That's one way
That's all I wanted to clarify. If it does matter and like if there was because that way we can really be clear with the artist exactly the workable area that they have in the mall. And I can get the right GIS, satellite imagery and I can give all the proximity so that they can respond and be like, oh, the art I want to make will fit in this. It is a narrow and challenging area, but I still think there could be
Yeah.
some really beautiful and creative things
Right.
erected in that space. Because it is so small, it is important that we are specific. So I wanted to hear from y'all if you had a vision or any kind of preferences, so I can include that when I work with my colleagues to get these like very specific data images. Okay.
Because I think when these two pieces are put there, there's gonna be, visitors and people coming to see and to visit the space. Or as to take pictures of it and to read it and things like that, so. And it might probably go on some maps or some types of tour areas where people can ride by and see it. I know I'm sure that when the History Center opened up, we will put it on tour.
Now, before this, did you guys talk about the changes that Miss Hattie and I sent to you?
Yeah, they were great in that.
Okay, they're minimal, but I think that they're plenty.
Yeah.
So you received, okay, you received for both the signage and art,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
So when will that RFQ for the be posted, do you think?
Well, it's gonna go, I gotta get these specifics for the actual like dimensions and the attachments, and
Okay.
I'll share that with y'all, probably via email, so you can actually see what it would look like for an artist to like see it almost as an advertisement. You can click through and
Yeah.
make sure that y'all are like, yes, this is exactly where the art is going. This is exactly what we want the art to be about. That would be the next step. I wanted to have this conversation about signage as well, so we can kind of understand all the things that are going in this piece of land.
Great.
Yes. No, ma'am, that's all I have.
Any questions? So after, you send us what you send us, then you're gonna send the RFQ out, and
Yes.
what kind of timeline would that be?
I'm gonna work with, my colleagues here to get those attachments, and so I know that, I try to work as like before we get to meetings, right? So y'all have a chance to review. I don't know that I'll be able to meet on the 21st of June, which I think is the next time this meeting happens, but my plan is to have the RFQ ready for y'all to review by that time. So
Okay.
I guess that was one thing else I was curious about, because I have a commitment that I would like to keep. It's also AFFest weekend. I know it will be really busy down here that night, so I don't know, if I can give that, as a deadline for me to share the RFQ, like the draft and its comprehension. And that depends too on getting all the right data from my colleagues, which I think they've been responsive, but then they started asking me these real specific questions, and I was like, oh, right, I need to know more things. So that's why I came to y'all tonight, to make sure I'm getting it right.
So the RFQ, once it goes out, how long does it, will be posted?
That is the timeline that it stays up usually for, I have a piece of paper with this. Sorry, I didn't put it. I'm not sure I have that piece of paper with me in this moment. I think it goes out for usually 6 weeks. It's a timeline that people have a chance to call and ask questions, and they have like a time for which to submit their,
Yeah, that's your timeline.
yeah, so it's, oh yeah, this is kind of what we have done.
Oh,
We're not what we want to do, but that's true. I've been keeping track
yeah.
of our timeline, but the timeline for it to go out would be, so you have an application, it's out for 6 weeks, and we create a deadline, then we collect them all, and then we'll have the selection panel will convene and review the RFQ responses, and then from those, you will make a selection of usually 3, and those artists will be invited to respond with a specific proposal. And then when they respond, we'll call and ask them, are you still interested? You've been a finalist. And they will, accept that, and then they'll have a deadline, usually a month, to turn in their exact proposal. And then once they turn it in and we compensate them for that, then you'll have the second round of selection, where the selection group will reconvene and look. And there'll also be people from Athens-Clarke County Unified Government, like, who are knowledgeable about the specifics of having this art installed. They'll also be part, so we can talk through any of the technical things that we might need to consider in the selection, and then that selection will be made. Once that is, a finalist is selected, then we go into the contracting process, which can take time. We create a contract, we work through that with the artist to get their signature. The mayor and commission have to approve the proposal. Yeah, sorry, the mayor and commission approve the proposal, then we go into contracting. Then once the contract is signed, the artist comes up with their timeline of their construction, depending on the type of work it is. They might make it off-site and then install it, or they might build it on site. It depends on what we get. And so that is the part I can't tell you, it's variable, but that's a rough sketch of how it goes one after the other.
Okay, I just wanted to sketch.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Clarifying question, you said you won't be here for the June meeting, but will we have the RFQ to vote on in June?
Hopefully, I gotta get all the details and everything, so I don't wanna,
Yeah, you
for
don't
sure.
promise.
But my hope is to have all of the schematic information, the visuals and everything like that pulled together. Cause I feel good and confident about what we've written together.
Mhm.
It's just getting the specifics for those attachments.
So, because I can't be here for what would be our July meeting,
Okay,
and we actually talked about not meeting in July since people are traveling, so that could push a vote to August, or, because I think we all have to be here to vote.
I think we're probably gonna have to have the June meeting if we can't possibly have it, so we can vote on the, RFQ.
Vote in June.
Okay.
I'm gonna get on that then.
Thank
Cause
you.
I have to be out for a week in June, so.
Okay.
I mean, we
I
can
mean, but
also
if you can't,
adjust.
you can't, but I was just
I'm
trying
gonna
to
try.
say, we need to go ahead and vote in
Yeah.
June, since we may not have the July meeting.
You're right. I'm glad we brought this up because I wanted to talk through
Yeah.
the timing on that.
Yeah, it's
You're right.
like-
I didn't realize y'all would meet in July. That makes sense. A lot of people
Don't meet in
July off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your work on that.
Any other questions, discussion? Thank you for all your hard work and for your push to get this done. We really, really, really appreciate it. Okay, about Debs, and signage.
Yes, so kind of piggybacking off of what Stephanie talked about and with your suggestions, here are some possible options, and here goes another copy. There's about 5 to 6 different ones, once we're bobbing down there.
Okay.
Potential options
Mhm.
that I think would be suited in that area.
Mhm.
Given the information that you gave me, having a straightforward sign, I think with the traffic and all of that, having a flat sign would be best. So these options right here is really kind of like the style that I'm sticking kind of to. But what we need, a little bit of help, is understanding, or for you all to kind of tell us what type of layout. So we've talked to about 6 different companies so far, getting quotes back from them, so we're waiting on those quotes to see. What it comes down to is really the size. We're thinking about maybe a 30 by 30 sign, so it'd be pretty wide, yeah.
Wide, 30 by 30.
That's about the same size as our trail markers, so this is kind of what we have for our trails. There are some trail markers that you'll see that are just flat, standing up. That's just gonna impede the traffic coming in and out. So all it is like, think about the trail marker leaning back and just flatter. And so it'll be about 30 by 30. That's kind of the dimensions that we're thinking. But the material itself, we're thinking about doing metal was.
We're gonna say metal and instead
Yeah.
of wood, it probably will be better.
Yeah, no, because the thing about it is we want to make sure that it's durable
Yeah.
and that it can be replaced if it needs to be replaced. And if it needs to be updated, how quickly we can get it updated. So we've reached out to a couple of companies around, some that we already do business with that do our trail markers, that can potentially do something like this. I know in your email that you sent, you spoke about the map, and just to clarify, the map of Lynn Town is just like the
The whole layout of the community.
the layout.
Yeah.
Do we actually have a map? Is
Yes.
it available on through the Lennon Town site? Is that the map that y'all are talking about, or is it a different
I
map?
can get you the map.
Okay.
That Dr. Jerry Shannon's class
Okay,
spent a lot of time on coming up with this map.
okay,
So we can get it to you.
okay, yes.
There's, that class put everything online in a digital archive, and so you could peruse it.
Put off.
It's Lennon Town story map might get you there, but I can email it. Yeah, I think I
I
should.
looked at it today, actually.
Okay.
So that's the one you wanted. It's.
That's the one that we heard.
And any of the files that you like for there, photos, maps, Jerry works down the hall from me.
So it's not, is it this, it's not this
Well,
map?
there's lots of options.
Okay.
I would go look. I mean, maybe we should look there too.
I will
'Cause there's
look
a
and I'll
lot,
send you the one that.
Okay,
we got
yes.
One there.
and we can get a high, whatever.
A high
like
resolution,
pixel
yeah.
resolution image from.
Right.
Okay,
And I also wanted the QR code.
Yes,
to go
so,
on there,
yes,
you
we
can
can
go to
definitely
the
do that.
storyline.
Yeah, we can definitely do a QR code. We can do that.
I know.
We just need to know what
What
it's
it
gonna go
links
to, as well.
I mean, they could link to the London Town story map.
It's gonna be the Suriname.
I mean, that was a lot of work and it was done by students. It's very interactive.
Okay.
Um,
And then are those the only graphics that you want on there? Because if not, it's gonna be a lot of text, which I think is fine, on there. The only thing with the points that you have on here that we're gonna work with to see is if we can expand on the bullet points.
Yes, that's gonna be expanded on.
Okay, y'all, are you all gonna expand on them, or is that kind of?
I was just trying to give you a general
Okay.
idea of the information that we wanted included
Gotcha.
on here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I do think more images than just the map. I think some of the photographs from the houses and the kids, I mean,
I think we could talk about that. We need to
Okay.
talk about that, but I know
Yeah.
we have some streets that we have,
Yeah, and I think
photographs on.
the last page that's in your packet might be
Something.
kind of what you all might be more interested in as the layout, where it's more you can see the visual aspects of it, seeing what you all sent me.
Mhm.
I think the last one might be kind of that area that we might stick
Yeah.
to, but
either of those, actually, either of the last two. I mean,
okay.
yeah, I think this is, given the size we're working with, I think this looks nice. I think this is good. I do like this metal one. I mean,
Okay.
anything is fine.
Okay.
Any of these would be fine, but I do like that metal one. What do you think
Okay.
about that one? You guys, do you like this? For some reason I like this one. It's just,
Okay.
but any of them look fine.
Look fine.
Okay,
Just got to
okay.
feel it.
I just wanted to give you all kind of the style that I think we could go towards. And that way, when we get the quotes back, we can have a better picture of what it's going to be.
Okay.
I do think that these will be a reasonable cost for the first installation, but then potentially having to replace them is something that we have to think about going forward. Wind damage from weather, anything like that. But I'm currently waiting, with our colleagues here to find out the dimensions along with the art piece, what that looks like of how tall it can be. But I'm thinking, it probably just be real level, and not too close to the ground. But it'll be a little raised off the ground, but it won't be as high. But this is kind of the design that I'm thinking we should lean toward, you all should lean towards. We're going to, okay.
So in terms of the content on the sign, who's going to actually draft the text and do the layout?
That's what I wanted to see from you all. If you had something to kind of mirror, I don't know if you all have, if it's something where it's written off of the Lennon story.
I can, work with, maybe I can ask one of our, partnerships with somebody in UGA to help us.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll work with that.
Okay, but we've gone in and put the quotes in at least to see how much it would be with the type of text that we've had. And then that way, that kind of gives you the size with the 30 by 30, understanding that it's not gonna be a lot of text. We wanna keep it plain, and interactive for, interpretive for anybody that's walking up, they can read it, so. Just making sure that we're keeping it in easy to read language on here, and it's not gonna, and I think having text on there to tell the story is just great on there. But I don't think we need like 6 paragraphs.
No.
I mean, like 6 paragraphs.
We don't need that much.
Yeah, but I think.
We need to keep it simple because
Yeah.
the storyline, the QR code is gonna take them to the storyline. to the
Right.
story. Yeah, so.
So, but we're not talking about using any kind of professional, like, public-facing interpretive graphic design firm anymore, because that was what we wanted, was a firm that has experience in capturing things. Is
Yeah,
that
I
just too
think,
much?
I think that was a great idea, but when we think about how quick it would be to replace something, to keep it more, if we can find somebody local to do it, or somebody within the radius, around that, if something was to happen to it, it wouldn't
Oh,
be
no.
so expensive where
Gotcha.
they have.
I
to-
mean, the content of the sign. No,
Yeah.
I don't care
It's
who
the-
makes it. So
yeah.
who's gonna actually put the words and the images together? Because that's capturing
It
history.
would be it would be, you would give us all the graphics that you.
We are
want.
doing it.
Yeah, so you would give us the graphics that you would want to go on there.
Okay,
I'll work on it.
Yeah, so.
okay, so we're not gonna have a professional firm that does the kind of like thinking through public history, public facing interpretive graphic design do it.
We can look to see if there would be somebody, but I think that would be very expensive to do it. And if we can pull it together here in-house and then have that genuineness from you all here
I think we can pull it together.
to do it, and then we might be able to revise some things and send it to the company that will be able to do it. And they might work with their graphic artists to be able to put it in such a way that it's more visually pleasing.
Yeah.
We certainly can do that.
I mean, I think we could give the text and the images, but I do think we want somebody either at UGA or at the sign firm
Get somebody to.
to do the actual. We need a professional
Right.
designer or, you know, to do it. Not-
Right, and I think it would be great if you pull together like 4 or 5 images and then have whoever you're gonna work with and say, this is what we wanna convey, what can we pull from these pictures? And then once you have that, we can work with the companies to see who would best put it together that way. But we should have those quotes back by next week
Great.
too, as to how much it would cost just to build this out. And then once
So
you,
you would have, you will want all what you need from us by next week?
no,
Oh.
no. No, as quick as you. No, so we still have some things that we have to pull together, so I think we're at mid-May, I will be out next week. So probably by the end of the month, could we do that, or at least maybe the first week of June?
I think the first week of June, we can have you something, we can work.
Okay.
Having you something by the first of June.
Okay, good.
If you all would allow me to work on it.
You
Yeah.
want a final design by then, or just the text and the.
Just the text and the pictures.
Think about it, putting it all in like one file or like everything in one basket, and then we'll start to pull it together, and you'll have
Right.
chances to like review as
Yeah.
we go through it.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Really? All right. Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah.
And then you can, we do
Yeah.
it by the first of, you said June?
yeah, like the first week in June, I think that's the week of the 3rd.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
That would be.
We'll send you some text and we'll send you some images. Yeah. And then somebody else with that kind of know-how can put it together and
And
sign.
you'll have chances to like review it and ask,
Right.
move this here to make this bigger, that kind of thing.
Okay.
You get that one.
Okay, thank you.
You can send me that in email. Which one? You can send me this stuff there. too.
Just, yeah, or do you want this copy?
You can send me that. So Christina had one she wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So, let me put this down in my head. You want something back by June,
Just by the end of the first week of June, I think that's like June 7th.
June seventh?
That way, by the time that we have a next meeting, we can at least pull together something and I can have a little bit more concrete details, and then it'll be more of a constructive process going from there.
I think we can do that. Christine thinks the bill is obviously.
We might just be able to talk with Jerry. He might let us just use
Sure.
language that they've already created that
Yeah.
was thoroughly researched.
We'll do all of that.
I
And if
think,
you like the colors, the font they use, like you might ask some questions like, what font is that? And like, so that there's a cohesiveness between the sign and the website. That looks like they go together.
Okay.
I'll try. We can try.
We'll pull Jerry in. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. We'll put others in, but we have something to you guys June the second.
Okay.
We'll dream about it, I'm sure. Okay, y'all have any more questions? Thank you, Dr. Do you have any more questions? It seems like this is really, really, really coming together.
So we just happy we had you.
So
It's
appreciate it.
amazing.
We are doing amazing work.
Amazing.
I appreciate it. So thank you tremendously. And Cameron, thank you.
Just amazing.
Okay, let's go back to the, we didn't have a quorum to approve the minutes. So let's go back to the minutes. If there's no corrections, let's go back in Jan to get the approved minutes approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
All right. Okay, then this meeting is now adjourned. And we will reconvene in June, because we're not talking about not having a meeting in July.